Hello, my name is Lizzie Kennedy, and I'm the current coordinator at the Community Writing Center, and would like to thank you for viewing our virtual workshop on writing scholarship essays. Here at the Community Writing Center, we serve the Great Lakes Bay region through one-on-one writing consultations and writing workshops, all free of charge. The purpose of this workshop is to learn about common scholarship essay questions and practice responding to sample prompts. The audience is any student preparing to apply for scholarships, but particularly high school juniors and seniors applying to college. The materials you'll need for this workshop include paper and a writing utensil to take notes, the Writing Scholarship Essay handouts, and optionally, any current scholarship essay or prompt that you're working on. All of our workshops here at the Community Writing Center aim to create an inclusive, respectful, and productive environment for all writers. We also provide feedback, strategies, and resources that writers need to improve their writing. Lastly, we encourage collaboration between writers through active conversation and participation. In this workshop, we'll begin with a quick write to gauge what you already know about scholarship essays before moving on to an overview of what scholarships are out there, where to find them, and how they differ from one another. Next, we'll discuss a few common scholarship questions and how you might consider responding to them. The next part of the workshop will focus on using example responses to illustrate how to avoid trouble spots and how to structure the beginning, middle, and end of your scholarship essay. The last portion of the workshop will include recommended drafting time and a final summary of everything we have covered in this workshop. To begin, take approximately 5 minutes to jot down a few responses to the following quick write questions. What advice have you been given about writing scholarship applications? Why do you think you deserve a scholarship? And how many scholarships do you plan on applying for? The goal is to start thinking about what you already know about scholarship essays, why you want to apply for them at all, and what your plan is for how many essays you plan to write. I recommend pausing the video here and writing for 5 minutes before continuing on to the rest of the workshop. Firstly, it's important to note that there are many scholarships available, and earning these scholarships can help to cover college expenses. Scholarships themselves can be offered by universities, foundations, or even private businesses and corporations. Over $1.7 million are given to college students every year, and the average first-year student will receive about $2,000 in private scholarships if they complete 5 or more applications. The goal of this workshop is to give you experience responding to a few sample prompts that you can ideally adapt to various scholarships. There's no limit to the number of scholarships you can apply to, but the more you do apply to, the higher your chances are of receiving scholarship money. There are a couple significant differences between university scholarships and community foundation scholarships. University scholarships may offer need-based, athletic, or academic scholarships that are awarded upon acceptance, regardless of if you apply for them or not, while others must be applied to separately. Foundation scholarships are often focused on things such as where you are from, where you went to high school, or the specific career path you are pursuing. Often, funding for these foundation scholarships can come from a variety of donors such as grants, trust funds, or independent families. It's always a good idea to do your research on what scholarships are available in your area and apply to the ones that fit your specific situation. There are a number of places to start your scholarship search, specifically at your local community foundations. I've listed here the websites for the Bay Area, Saginaw, and Midland Community Foundations as a starting point for discovering what scholarships are offered in your specific area or region. These community foundations offer scholarships themselves, but also provide lists of outside donors or scholarships that you can check out. All of these opportunities can be found on their website. Websites such as fastweb.com and collegescholarship.com are also good resources for finding larger national scholarships. These are often easy to apply to and vary in their requirements and the amounts they award. It's also a good idea to look into the specific university you are applying to. Often, scholarship opportunities can be found under pages labeled scholarships or financial aid. Every scholarship essay will be a little different and could ask you to write about a variety of topics or experiences. Scholarship questions also vary based on who you are writing the scholarship essay for. Colleges and universities may ask you to focus on how you will contribute to their campus, while community foundations or local scholarship donors may ask you to touch on more personal details or experiences. However, These are a few sample questions that you might encounter while applying for scholarships, or will at least get you thinking of what topics you may be asked to write about. Number 1 asks you, what are your most notable academic or extracurricular accomplishments in high school? To respond to this prompt, you could focus on clubs, sports, or theater programs you were involved in high school, or you could talk about academic achievements such as being on the honor roll or serving as student president. Question number 2 asks, what are your goals as a future college student and what would you like to accomplish? For this prompt, you could answer by talking about your career goals. Maybe you'd like to be a teacher or a nurse or an engineer. And then you can talk your reader through how you plan to accomplish those goals in college, whether that be through specific internships, organizations, or networking opportunities. Question number 3 asks, how do you plan to contribute to the university through academic or extracurricular activities? And this one's a little bit different than question number 2. For question number 3, you could respond by talking about specific activities, clubs, or organizations that you'd like to participate in at college. This type of prompt gives you the opportunity to show your reader that you did your research and you know what that particular college offers. This final sample scholarship question asks, how would this scholarship help you to achieve your goals and contributions? Now this one is a little tricky because the obvious answer is that scholarships give you money, and that money would help to cover the expensive costs of tuition, room and board, books, etc. For this type of prompt, you might want to focus on how that financial help could allow you to focus on schoolwork or internships, or you could take the approach of talking about how it would allow you to only have to work part-time as opposed to full-time to put yourself through school. One additional question that you may come across specifies that the scholarship is given for a specific purpose, like only to incoming nursing majors or only to first-generation college students. If you're responding to a scholarship such as this with a very specific applicant in mind, make sure to describe how you specifically fit those requirements. Now that we've gone over a few potential questions, let's take some time to brainstorm how you specifically could answer these prompts. It might be helpful to choose a few of the prompts and jot down 3 to 5 possible answers or responses. If you have a specific scholarship essay prompt that you're working on, feel free to use this time to brainstorm responses to that instead. I recommend pausing this video and brainstorming for about 5 to 10 minutes before viewing the rest of the workshop. Now that we've taken some time to brainstorm possible responses to sample prompts, let's dig a little deeper into how we can make our essays stand out. The 2 trouble spots we've identified are development and relevance. Responding to the prompt itself is the bare minimum. An impactful essay is going to include specific details and personal experiences and will be relevant by including institution-specific details and connecting to the scholarship itself, like in question 4 that we discussed earlier. As you're writing, you should continue asking yourself how you can make your essay stand out from other applicants. Many essays might talk about the same topics, like a sports injury, being elected student council president, or starring as the lead in the school musical. Your job is to include enough specific and personalized information to make your experience memorable to the reader. Let's go over some examples to see what this looks like in practice. As a quick note, all of these following example responses can be found on the workshop handout if you would like to refer back to them at a later time. Example number 1 is a community service scholarship, and the first prompt asks, what community service activities did you participate in during high school, and how do you see those activities contributing to your undergraduate career? The first step is to just answer the basic question. As a high school student, I was actively involved as president of student council. But you'll notice that this answer isn't very personal or detailed enough. So let's look at what more we could add to this. To develop your response further, you could write, as president, I helped to create community service opportunities for my peers. I was responsible for developing these service programs as well as finding students to engage in these programs. I also networked with faculty and community members to create and staff community service programs. Now, you'll notice that this response gives much more specific details about what the student's role as president entailed and how that role connected to community service. But this example could still be developed further. An even better developed response to that original question would include very specific dates and descriptions of the projects that the student introduced in the last response. This could look like, As president, I helped to create community service opportunities for my peers. I was responsible for developing these service programs as well as finding students to engage in these programs. I also networked with faculty and community members to create and staff community service programs. For example, I planned a successful school-wide food drive in October of 2015, which collected over 500 food items for families in our community. You'll notice that the phrase "for example" is highlighted. This is to emphasize how important it is to not just tell a reader that you participated in community service, but to show them what that looked like. This idea of show, not tell, is going to be carried out throughout the rest of this workshop. The next step after developing your response to the basic question is to connect your experience to the scholarship itself and the institution you're applying to. In this example, the student is connecting their response to SVSU by stating, "I hope to use these leadership skills as an undergraduate to develop and participate in community service projects on campus. I'm specifically interested in participating in SVSU's Habitat for Humanity group and Alternative Breaks program. Because of my past experiences, I know what it takes to collaborate with faculty and other students to get a project done. I believe I can add to the university community as a leader in service." The highlighted section emphasizes how this response shows that the writer did their research on the institution they were applying for and could identify specific programs or opportunities that they might want to take advantage of. This makes a more convincing argument to your reader that you truly want to attend that university and you truly will contribute to the campus community there. Let's look at another sample response, this time for an athletic scholarship. The prompt states, "Explain the significance that athletics had on your high school career and how you will use what you learned as an undergraduate at SVSU." Part 1 is to simply answer the basic question. I was a member of my high school's baseball team all 4 years of high school. But we obviously need to include a few more personal details to make this response stand out more to readers. To develop that previous basic answer further, this response says, "I served as captain of the baseball team during my senior year and led my team to a 35-5 season. I feel that this experience helped me to develop leadership skills and perseverance. As captain, I was responsible for motivating my teammates and serving as a strong example for them both on and off the field. For example, I maintained a 3.0 GPA throughout my high school career. This showed my teammates that balancing school and sports was possible and important to a successful future. When practices or games were tough, I continued to motivate and inspire, practicing perseverance and continuing to be that example." You'll notice that this sample response uses specific examples of the skills that the student is planning to carry from high school athletics to the college campus. Discussing the team success and the student's personal academic success was a way that this student personalized their response. The last step, as we discussed before, is to connect your experience to the scholarship and institution. This response reads, "Leadership skills and perseverance are essential qualities in a successful undergraduate student. I hope to use these skills to not only perform well in the classroom, but to serve as a leader on SVSU's baseball team. I will continuously exercise these skills to better my team by motivating them and always putting my best effort forward." This is another example of how a student can integrate their future plans into their scholarship essays. Discussing how this student wants to participate on the SVSU baseball team shows that they are already making connections for the reader between their high school experiences and their college plans. This final example is a more general scholarship question that gives you a chance to discuss your experiences outside of school or athletics. The prompt reads, "Describe how you have demonstrated leadership ability within work, school, or community activities." To answer the basic question, this student writes, "My part-time position as an associate at Sam's Club demonstrates my leadership ability in the workplace." To develop this answer further, this response states, "In this position, I was responsible for not only cashing out customers and restocking shelves, but also working as a member of a team. I was regularly reporting to supervisors, directing customers to various aisles, and assisting new employees with store protocols. This position taught me valuable leadership skills in problem solving and de-escalation techniques as I addressed customer concerns and returns. In addition, my ability to balance this employment position while maintaining my 3.5 GPA is a testament to my strong work ethic and ability to manage my time effectively." You'll notice that this developed paragraph lists specific tasks and descriptions that help the reader gain a better understanding of the student's skills. Additionally, a good trick is to connect your experience to skills that you can transfer from one job to another. For example, this student talks about leadership skills. This shows the reader that this student has the skill set to be a leader not only in the workplace, but also potentially on campus and in the classroom. As always, the last step is to connect your response to the scholarship and institution. This student writes, "My ability to juggle multiple responsibilities, work as part of a team, and communicate effectively with coworkers and customers demonstrates my leadership ability. I hope to transfer these skills to an on-campus job at SVSU, where I can benefit the campus community as a strong worker and dedicated team member." In this example, the student makes a direct connection between their job experience and the job they hope to have as a college student. This shows the reader that the student wants to use their experiences and skill sets to benefit the larger campus community. Now that we've gone over several sample responses, let's talk through how to actually structure a scholarship essay. Word count will vary depending on the scholarship itself, but most essays are at least several paragraphs long. In the beginning, it's usually best to introduce who you are and your relevant accomplishments. For example, like the example we looked at earlier, serving as captain of the baseball team. The middle section should include your career goals and your contributions to the university. Make sure to connect your contributions to your career goals. For example, this could mean discussing how you'd like to work as a student researcher in college and how that experience would benefit your career as a marine biologist. The last section should focus on how the scholarship would specifically help achieve your goals. Remember, this is a good place to focus on financial support and how specifically that support would help you to accomplish more during your time in college. Now that we've gone over several sample responses, let's talk through how to actually structure a scholarship essay. Word count will vary depending on the scholarship itself, but most essays are usually at least several paragraphs long. In the beginning, it's usually best to introduce who you are and what your relevant accomplishments are. For example, based on the response we looked at earlier, serving as captain of the baseball team. The middle section should include your career goals and your contributions to the university. Make sure to connect your contributions to your career goals. For example, this could mean discussing how you'd like to work as a student researcher in college and how that experience would benefit your career as a marine biologist. The last section should focus on how the scholarship itself would specifically help achieve your goals. Remember, this is a good place to focus on financial support and how that support would help you to accomplish more during your time in college. At this point in the workshop, we've gone over the trouble spots you might encounter while writing a scholarship essay, we've looked over several sample responses, and we've gone over the structure of a scholarship essay. So let's work on actually drafting one. I'd like you to take the next 20 minutes to practice responding to one or more of the scholarship questions you brainstormed at the beginning of the workshop. Go a little bit more in depth during this drafting process by focusing on first answering the basic question, then developing the details, and then making your response relevant to the scholarship or college you're applying to. I recommend pausing this video to write for the full 20 minutes before moving on to the rest of the workshop. Before wrapping up this workshop, let's go over some of the overall takeaways from what we've talked about so far. First and foremost, start drafting early to allow yourself time to make revisions. It's always a good tip to have others read your writing in order to give you feedback for improvement. In your essays themselves, always go above and beyond the basic question by incorporating personal details, especially dates and descriptions, followed by what you learned from those experiences. Make sure to always connect your experiences to the institution, organization, or specific scholarship in order to show your reader that you've done your research. Lastly, focus on making your essays fully developed and fully relevant by paying attention to what each scholarship prompt is asking you and customizing your response accordingly. Finally, I'd like to thank you for viewing this virtual workshop on writing scholarship essays. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to contact us via email or social media, and of course, please feel free to check out our website, communitywritingcenter.com. Also, if you have a draft of a scholarship essay that you'd like to have looked over before you submit, feel free to schedule a session with the Community Writing Center, and one of our consultants would be more than happy to work with you.